They want you tame, predictable, a ghost in your own skin. But deep down, there's a version of you screaming to be born, and the only thing standing in its way is you. Not the world, not your past, you. The version of you that plays it safe, keeps quiet, begs for permission. That version needs to die, tonight. This isn't self-help, it's self-destruction. Controlled demolition, a beautiful collapse. Because sometimes, to become who you're meant to be, you have to burn the blueprint. So tell me, are you ready to kill the old you, or die with it? From the moment you opened your eyes, they started drawing lines. Quiet ones at first, little rules wrapped in lullabies. Sit still, be good, don't speak out of turn. You were taught how to behave before you were ever taught how to think. They didn't want you wild, they wanted you manageable. A nice little cog in a nice little machine. And so, they built you a cage, not made of iron or chains. No, that would be too obvious. This cage was far more dangerous. It was made of ideas. They taught you how to smile when you wanted to scream, how to nod when you should have said no. They fed you stories about who you should become, obedient, respectable, stable, and you swallowed them like medicine, even when they tasted like poison. And just when the walls were high enough, just when you started forgetting there was ever a world outside, they handed you a mirror. Look, they said, this is you. But it wasn't. Not really. It was a reflection of what they made you believe. The mirror didn't show your fire. It showed your filter. It didn't show your soul. It showed your script. That carefully rehearsed persona you stitched together just to survive. The good girl, the quiet boy, the people pleaser, the overachiever, the imposter wearing a smile like a straitjacket. And here's the sickest part. They convinced you that you built it, that this mask you wear was your choice. But tell me, when was the last time you made a decision without worrying what they'd think? When did you last speak without editing yourself mid-sentence? When did you last feel free in your own skin? Exactly. The cage isn't physical, but it's real. Real enough to make you doubt your own voice. Real enough to make you apologize for taking up space. Real enough to make you hate your reflection for never being enough. You think you're walking through life, but you're pacing in a cell. They gave you permission to live, but only on their terms. Smile at the right time. Bleed quietly. Chase dreams, but not too big. Want more, but don't ask for it. Be ambitious, but not intimidating. Be strong, but still sweet. They want you to color outside the lines, as long as it's with the colors they picked. That's not freedom, that's decoration. That's dressing up your own prison cell with inspirational quotes and calling it empowerment. How poetic. You decorate the bars while your soul starves behind them. And the mirror. Oh, that mirror is their masterpiece. It's not glass, it's surveillance. A constant reminder of how you should look, how you should act, how you should feel. It keeps you performing, keeps you shrinking, keeps you quiet. But here's the twist. They don't expect once you see the cage, you can never unsee it. And once you realize that reflection isn't you, it's a version of you filtered through fear, you're faced with a choice. Do you keep pretending, or do you break? Because breaking is painful, but it's also holy. You see, the cage doesn't open with a key. It opens with rage. The kind of rage that doesn't destroy others, it destroys illusions. The rage that says, I'm done living on a leash. The rage that says, I refuse to be small for your comfort. The rage that laughs in the face of their expectations and dares to live authentically, loud, flawed, unfiltered. But they'll try to stop you. Oh, they always do. Because nothing terrifies a system more than someone who's no longer afraid of it. The moment you stop obeying the mirror, you become dangerous, unpredictable, free. And free people can't be controlled. So they'll call you rebellious, difficult, unstable. Wear it like war paint. Because the moment you smash that mirror, You start to see yourself for real. Not the version that was molded by fear, but the one born in fire. The real you isn't polite. The real you isn't perfect. The real you doesn't need validation or permission or applause. The real you is raw, powerful, and a little unhinged. And that's exactly what makes you alive. You're not here to be a puppet performing for claps. You're here to set the stage on fire. But to do that, the old you, the caged you, has to die. You have to burn the scripts, shatter the mirror, and let the ashes dance. Only then can you walk free, not as someone they recognize, but as someone they fear. Because when you finally step out of that cage, they won't know what to do with you, and that's the point. They sold you a lie, gift wrapped in soft blankets and predictable mornings. Stay safe, they said. Don't risk too much. Don't dream too loud. Don't wander too far. And so, like a well-trained pet, you crawled inside the warm little box they built for you. One labeled normal, secure, comfortable. What they didn't tell you is that comfort is a sedative. It dulls your edges. It buries your fire. It's a coffin lined with satin cushions, and you've been napping in it like a fool convinced you're alive. You see, comfort doesn't look like a threat. It doesn't bark or snarl or bare its teeth. No, it's soft, subtle, polite. It whispers. It smiles. It tells you, you've done enough. It wraps its arms around your ambition, kisses your forehead, and slowly bleeds your hunger dry. And before you know it, 10 years have passed. Your dreams are dusty relics. Your passion, gone. Your edge, rusted. You're still breathing. Sure, but don't mistake that for living. Living requires friction. Living is messy, unstable, full of risk, rejection, rebirth. But comfort is quiet, sterile, predictable, and worst of all, addictive. You ever wonder why people stay in jobs they hate? Relationships that drain them, lifestyles that shrink them. It's not because they're happy. It's because they're comfortable. And comfort, my dear, is a drug far more dangerous than any poison. It doesn't kill you fast. No, it prefers the slow death, the silent one. The death you don't even realize is happening until it's far too late. People say, I'm not ready to change. What they mean is, I'm too comfortable to move. They say, what if I fail? What they mean is, what if I have to feel pain again? They dress fear up in logic. They decorate cowardice with caution. But the truth is brutal and simple. They're scared to live uncomfortably long enough to evolve. You can't grow in a padded cell. Think of the most powerful version of yourself. The bold one, the wild one, the one that doesn't flinch when the world spits in your face. Do you think that version of you was born from comfort? Hell no, that version was forged in chaos, in heartbreak, in nights when everything fell apart and you had to stitch yourself back together without instruction. Pain is the chisel, discomfort is the fire, and every time you run from it, you run from yourself. They don't teach you that in school. They teach obedience, structure, conformity, how to line up, shut up, and follow the script. But no one becomes great by staying in line. No one makes history by clinging to comfort. Legends are written in blood, sweat, and rebellion. Let me ask you, when was the last time you felt alive? Not just breathing, not scrolling, not surviving. Alive, heart racing, skin electric, mind on fire. Chances are it was during a moment of chaos, not comfort. Maybe you quit that job. Maybe you stood up for yourself. Maybe you faced something you were terrified of. And for a second, just 1 second, you felt it. That surge, that wild spark that says, I'm back. That is not a coincidence. That's a clue. Comfort numbs you. Discomfort wakes you. Comfort dims the light. Discomfort ignites the flame. Now, I'm not telling you to throw your life into complete disorder. I'm not saying you need to suffer endlessly to grow. No, but I am saying this: if you want transformation, real soul-burning, world-shaking transformation, then you have to be willing to step outside the comfort zone and stay there long enough to feel the skin peel off the old you. Because that's what growth is, a violent unlearning. The comfortable version of you can't survive it. The people-pleasing, approval-hungry, fear-driven version. He dies, she dies, and what rises in their place isn't polite, isn't soft, it's you. The real you. The one that doesn't fit in anymore because you're not supposed to. You want purpose. Get uncomfortable. You want clarity. Let your illusions crack. You want to feel alive. Then start doing the things that make your stomach drop. The conversations you avoid. The moves you postpone. The leaps that terrify you. Because here's the punchline. The twist no one tells you. Comfort doesn't love you back. You sacrifice your potential for its temporary embrace, and in return, it gives you nothing but dust and regret. The world will bury you whether you like it or not. The question is, will you die in that coffin of comfort, soft, safe, and forgotten? Or will you rip off the cushions, crawl out bloody and breathless, and choose life, real life, the kind that burns, the kind that matters? So go ahead. Flip the mattress, burn the blanket, shatter the silence, make discomfort your companion, make chaos your teacher. Because if comfort is the coffin, then discomfort, glorious, untamed discomfort, is the resurrection. They always laugh first, don't they? The moment you try to evolve, the moment you attempt to peel off the layers they've wrapped around your soul, they laugh, not because it's funny, not because it's clever, but because your growth threatens their comfort. Your transformation shines a light on their stagnation, and nothing terrifies the complacent more than someone who dares to outgrow them. It starts subtle, a raised eyebrow, a mocking tone, a whisper behind your back that echoes louder than any scream. Who do they think they are? They murmur. They've changed. They hiss, as if that's an insult. But that's the truth, isn't it? You're changing. You're mutating into something untamed, something they can't predict, control, or categorize. And it frightens them. Good. See, the old you was easy to handle, predictable, docile. You laughed when they laughed. You bowed when they expected it. You bit your tongue when you wanted to roar. But now your spine is straightening. Your voice is sharpening, your eyes are glowing with purpose, and they can feel it. It unsettles them, makes them twitch, because deep down, they know they stayed the same while you dared to shed your skin. So they laugh, they mock, they belittle. They weaponize your past to chain your future. Look at them now, they chuckle, acting like they're someone. No, not acting, becoming. There's a sickness in their smirks, a disease in their derision. People don't mock what they don't fear. They only laugh when they feel powerless. It's a defense mechanism. Their mockery is a mirror reflecting their own failure to evolve. Every insult, every sarcastic jab, every backhanded compliment. It's a scream from a soul shackled by fear. You see, they don't really hate you. They hate what you represent. You represent freedom. You represent change. You represent the death of mediocrity. And that's unforgivable in their eyes. They want you to believe that reinvention is ridiculous, that ambition is arrogance, that becoming something more is betrayal. Why? Because they've made peace with their prisons. They've decorated their cages, painted the bars gold, and now call it a palace. So when you try to escape, when you claw at the walls and tear through the lies, it offends them. Your growth exposes their excuses. That's why they laughed. But here's where it gets delicious. You don't just walk away. No, that's too kind. You become so unrecognizably powerful, so dangerously real that your very existence becomes a response. No arguments, no explanations, just evidence. You stop debating with doubters. You stop seeking validation from the vacant. You let your success become the storm that floods their fragile sandcastles. They laughed when you tried to change. Now you give them a reason to cry. Not out of cruelty, but consequence. Every time they see you winning, it should haunt them. It should echo in their minds like a ticking clock, a reminder that they had the same chances, but they chose comfort. And you chose chaos. You chose pain. You chose the fire. You let it consume the old you and watched the ashes fall like snow. That's the irony, isn't it? They fear the fire, but you became it. So don't hide. Don't shrink. Don't dim your light just to protect their egos. Let your evolution be a spectacle. Let it be theatrical. Laugh louder than they ever did. Dance on the grave of who you used to be. Because the truth is, they never wanted the best version of you. They wanted the controllable version, the obedient version, the quiet version. But that version is dead now, isn't it? You buried it beneath every late night of self-doubt. Every moment you pushed through pain, every tear you turned into fuel. The new you, the real you. It's unapologetic, unhinged, unstoppable. And it doesn't ask for applause. It demands silence, not because you've won their approval, but because they're too shocked to speak. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real victory. Not fame, not riches, not applause, but the silence that follows your rise. The quiet confession in their eyes, we were wrong about you. But by then it doesn't matter, does it? You're too far gone, too far above. You've become a legend in their minds, the one who broke free, the one who didn't just change, but dared to become untouchable. So let them laugh, let them mock, because soon you'll give them a reason to cry. And when they do, don't offer a hand, turn back, don't soften, because the old you would have hesitated. But you're not them anymore. You're something more. You're the result of rebellion, rage, and rebirth. You are proof that the past doesn't own you, not unless you hand it the keys. So rip the smile from your old reflection, burn the blueprint, and when they come looking for the version they once knew, tell them that person doesn't live here anymore. Only this version does, and it doesn't laugh for anyone. You're not broken, you're just not finished. Yet they told you you're broken, damaged goods, a walking error. They pointed at your flaws like a gallery of failure. Your anxiety, your anger, your fear, your overthinking, your silence. Too much, not enough. Fix yourself. They said it like they were giving advice, but what they really meant was conform, fit the mold, be less of what makes them uncomfortable. But listen carefully, you are not broken, you are becoming. There is a strange kind of beauty in chaos, isn't there? A symphony in the noise that everyone else tries to silence. What they call broken is simply unfinished, incomplete. You're mid-transformation, messy, unpredictable, imperfect, like a masterpiece smeared in blood and oil before the final stroke. And that's terrifying not to you, but to them. Because finished people are safe. Finished people play by the rules. Finished people don't start fires in a world built of lies. You, though, you're dangerous. Because deep down, you know there's more to you than the polished version they keep trying to manufacture. You know your cracks aren't weakness. They're entry points for something wild, something raw, something real. You've just been too scared to let it out. But now it's time. Think about it. When a snake sheds its skin, the old layer peels away in ugly strips, raw, uncomfortable, violent. It's not graceful, it's necessary. That's what you're going through. Those sleepless nights, those mental breakdowns, that inner war between who you are and who you pretend to be. That's not failure, that's friction. And friction is the first spark before the blaze. The world wants you to believe healing means erasing the parts of you that don't fit, your darkness, your rage, your scars. But real transformation doesn't come from erasing. It comes from embracing, from owning every twisted piece and turning it into armor. Let me tell you a secret they don't want you to hear. Monsters don't get destroyed. they evolve. And right now, you are mid-mutation. Bones cracking, skin stretching, soul screaming as the old version of you fights to survive. It's clawing at the edges, begging you to stay the same, to keep playing it small. Because the old you knows, once you complete this evolution, there's no going back. There's a certain kind of violence in self-growth that no one talks about. They paint it as peaceful, meditative, a journey of candles and calm. But that's a lie sold to keep you tame. Real growth is brutal. It's a knife in your chest and your own hands on the handle. It's watching the version of yourself you clung to beg as you strangle it into silence. It's standing in the ruins of your former self, blood on your hands, fire in your eyes, and smiling. You're not broken, darling. You're just still under construction. A volcano doesn't apologize for rumbling. A caterpillar doesn't explain why it disappears into darkness. And you don't owe anyone an explanation for your chaos. Not while you're still building the wings to rise from it. They'll call you unstable. They'll say you've changed, that you've lost your mind. Let them. People love the version of you that makes them feel safe, not the one that makes them uncomfortable. But the truth is, you were never meant to be liked. You were meant to be unleashed. So stop trying to glue yourself back together just to make others comfortable. Break more if you have to. Shatter. Let the pieces fall where they may, because something magnificent is trying to emerge from your wreckage. Something terrifying and beautiful, and you. Let go of the idea that you need to be whole to be worthy, that you need to have it all figured out, that you must be healed before you start. That's a trap. A lie sold by people who never had the courage to rise from their own ashes. You don't need to be polished. You need to be hungry, desperate, furious enough to build yourself from the parts they told you to discard. And when the dust settles, when you crawl from the rubble of who you used to be, limping, bleeding, smiling, they won't recognize you. Good. They weren't supposed to, because you were never here to fit in. You were here to remind the world what rebirth looks like when it comes with fire in its lungs. So, repeat after me, I am not broken. I am not lost. I am not done. I'm just becoming. And when I'm finished, they'll wish they never underestimated me. They always told you to be normal, didn't they? Sit straight, speak softly, walk the line, blend in. Keep your emotions tucked neatly under the skin like secrets too dangerous to be spoken aloud. Smile when it's expected. Cry only in private. Dream, but only if the dream fits in a job description. Be ambitious, but not too ambitious. Be bold, but not so bold that you upset the status quo. Be free, but within the rules. The rules, mind you, written by ghosts in suits and upheld by people too afraid to live any other way. But let's get something straight. Normal is not safe. It's not noble. It's not even real. It's a synthetic concept manufactured by people who never dared to question the world. Normal is a cage with invisible bars. And the worst part, most don't even know they're locked inside it. They call it stability. They call it being mature. But what they really mean is conform. Die slowly, but quietly. Make your descent into mediocrity look like a choice. What a joke. You weren't born to be normal. You were born to feel, to break, to burn, and rebuild yourself into something terrifyingly honest. You were born to walk into rooms and change the temperature, to stir people's nerves just by existing. But what did you do instead? You shaved off your edges to fit into someone else's shape. You silenced your chaos to be digestible. You traded in your weirdness, your glorious, electric weirdness, for the illusion of belonging. Why? Because someone once told you that standing out makes you a target, and they were right. But what they didn't tell you is that standing in makes you a ghost. You become another forgettable face, another name lost in a sea of spreadsheets and dinner parties. pretending to be fascinated by things that don't even graze your soul. And while you sit there, nodding and smiling through conversations that feel like poison, the real you, the one with fire in their bones, is suffocating beneath the weight of pretending. That's not living, that's performing. And here's the twisted truth: everyone's a little mad. The difference is, most people hide their madness behind routines, behind jobs, behind weekend plans, and fake laughter. They swallow their insanity with coffee and antidepressants, call it adulthood, and move on. But what if you stopped hiding? What if, instead of shrinking to fit the world's expectations, you expanded so wide that the world had no choice but to adjust to you? Don't settle for average madness. Let your madness be divine, destructive, dazzling. Let it be a revolution in your bloodstream. Stop editing your soul just to be palatable. Tear the script. Burn it. Laugh as the ashes fall. When they say, "You've changed," smile, because you have. When they say, "You used to be so quiet," reply, "I used to be asleep." And when they say you're being too much, look them dead in the eyes and say, "Good." Because the truth is, nothing great, not art, not progress, not even love, ever came from people who were normal. The game changers, the world breakers, the ones who bent reality to their will. They were the misfits, the outcasts, the ones who weren't afraid to be too much. They didn't settle for dull comfort. They wanted fire, and so should you. You see, there's a kind of power that comes when you stop apologizing for being different. When you wear your flaws like armor. When you stop shaving off the parts of you that make others uncomfortable. There's a raw, untamed strength in embracing your contradictions. The part of you that dreams at 3 a.m. and the part that aches by 6. The part that wants to dance on tables and the part that craves solitude. You are not a glitch in the system. You are the system's worst nightmare, someone who can no longer be programmed. So let them call you crazy. Let them mock whisper, roll their eyes. You'll be too busy building a new reality to care. Because once you kill the old you, the one addicted to approval, the one terrified of rejection, you'll unlock a version of yourself that isn't shackled by anyone's comfort zone. You'll move differently, speak with fire, walk like you know exactly who you are, and that scares them. It should. So no, I won't be normal. I won't play small to make others feel tall. I won't dilute my passion so it's easier to swallow. If my presence is too much for someone, they can leave the room. I'd rather be too much and alive than just enough and dead inside. You want freedom. Stop trying to be accepted. Be unforgettable instead. You want power. Stop trying to be liked. Be feared, admired, respected, envied, anything but ordinary. Kill the old you, the one who begged to be tolerated, and give birth to the version of you that demands to be remembered. Because at the end of this game we call life, they won't write stories about the ones who were normal. They'll write about the ones who dared to be different. Be one of them. You ever really look at yourself? Not in the mirror. That's just glass and lies. I'm talking about that thing you call an identity. That neat little package of behaviors, beliefs, habits, the personality you stitch together from leftover expectations. You didn't create that identity, oh no. You inherited it from school teachers who wanted you obedient, parents who wanted you predictable, society that wanted you digestible. You've been wearing it like a second skin for so long, you forgot it was never yours to begin with. A costume, that's all it is. One big, worn-out costume stitched together by fear and stitched shut by comfort. They taught you to smile when you're dying inside, clap when you hate the show, sit when you want to run, and now look at you, confused, anxious, exhausted, wondering why nothing feels right. It's because the identity you're clinging to wasn't built for you. It was built to contain you. You wear it like armor, but it's just a straitjacket made of polite nods and unspoken regrets. And here's the joke, the hilarious, cruel joke. That identity you guard so carefully, it's the very thing killing you slowly. Not in a dramatic, glorious blaze. Oh no, that would at least be interest. It's killing you in silence, in routine, in the 1,000 quiet compromises you make every single day just to be normal. You keep polishing that mask, thinking maybe, just maybe, one day it'll fit right. But deep down, it doesn't, it never did. See, identity isn't fixed. It's fluid, volatile, and meant to evolve. But evolution is messy, chaotic. You think butterflies just gently transform? No. First they dissolve into sludge, absolute, unrecognizable goo. That's what real change feels like. Total annihilation of the former self. But you're scared of that part, aren't you? You want the wings without the war. You want the growth without the gore. You want transformation, but you don't want to bleed. Well, here's the ugly truth. Becoming who you're meant to be requires murdering who you used to be. And not politely, violently, with conviction. You have to look that old version of you in the eye. The one who swallowed their voice, stayed small, feared judgment, and burn it. No eulogies, no memorials, just ash and laughter. But you're still pretending. Pretending you can keep one foot in the fire and one in the safety net. That you can change without changing. That you can wear a new identity without shedding the old. You can't. The costume doesn't come off gently. You have to rip it. Tear it from your skin like it's made of shame. Like it's suffocating you. Because it is. And what happens after you burn it? That's when things get fun. You'll be raw, exposed, terrifying to others. They won't recognize you. They're not supposed to. People liked the old costume because it made them feel comfortable. The moment you step out of it, they'll panic. They'll say you've changed. Damn right you have. They'll say you're crazy. Finally. They'll say they miss the old you. And you'll smile because so do corpses. You see, when you stop performing, you start living. No more scripts, no more masks. Just the unfiltered, dangerous, unpredictable version of you that's been buried beneath politeness and pressure. The version that speaks its mind, laughs too loud, creates without asking permission, walks into rooms like it owns the floor and leaves footprints soaked in gasoline. That version of you doesn't blend in. It doesn't ask for approval. It doesn't wear costumes. It wears scars like medals. But the world doesn't reward that version. It fears it, because people prefer the costume, the actor, the edited version of you that doesn't challenge their illusions. They'll beg you to put the mask back on, offer you applause if you just behave. But don't you dare, because the moment you wear that mask again, you silence the truth. And the truth is the only thing that's ever going to set you free, even if it burns everything down along the way. Look, I'm not saying the process is painless. You'll lose people. You'll scare people. You might even scare yourself. But that fear, that's the sound of the chains breaking. That's your soul waking up from a coma. That's what it means to be alive. And when the smoke clears, when the ashes settle, you'll see it, the real you. Naked, flawed, unapologetically powerful. That's not identity. That's liberation. So here's your choice. Keep wearing the costume. Keep pretending. Keep shrinking for people who don't even see you. Or light a match, strike it against the past, and watch the old you burn in glorious, chaotic defiance. You want change. Start with arson. Become your own fire. And when they ask what happened to the old you, just grin and say, I couldn't handle the heat. They told you to change politely, to be soft, subtle, civilized. They want your transformation to be digestible, palatable, inoffensive. They want your growth to come in whispers and baby steps. But that's not evolution. That's negotiation. And you weren't born to negotiate with mediocrity. You were born to annihilate it. The world doesn't respect quiet change. It fears the loud kind, the kind that stomps in the room wearing chaos like a crown, the kind that doesn't ask permission before becoming something unrecognizable. And that, my friend, is exactly the kind you need to be. Stop trying to make your evolution acceptable. Stop dressing it up in humility and soft language just to make it easier for the weak to swallow. You weren't made to shrink so others could stretch. You weren't made to glow politely in the corner. You were made to set the whole damn room on fire. You want to change. Then change like a monster molting out of its skin. Scream through the discomfort. Let it echo. Rip off the old version of yourself like it's skin that doesn't fit anymore. Let the world watch. Let them flinch. Let them tremble. Because real transformation, it's ugly. It's disturbing. It's raw, loud, and uncomfortable to everyone still pretending to be perfect. You owe no one a graceful exit. You owe no one a polite explanation for your rise. You're not a guest in your own life. You are the architect of your madness, the conductor of your chaos, and the writer of the next terrifying chapter. Let them be confused. Let them call you arrogant. Let them say you've changed, because you have. And if they're not unsettled by it, you probably haven't gone far enough. You see, there's a kind of silence that suffocates. The silence of someone who plays small just to be liked. And then there's a kind of noise. The beautiful, unruly noise of a soul finally waking up. That's the noise you were born to make. When you evolve, do it with flair. Do it like an explosion in slow motion. Don't just walk away from who you were. Detonate it. Make sure the ashes spell your name. Reintroduce yourself like a villain in a sequel no one saw coming. Smile as they stare, confused, at this new version of you they can't recognize or control. Because you're not here to be understood. You're here to be felt. Growth isn't always noble. Sometimes it's violent. Sometimes it's savage. Sometimes it looks like betrayal to people who only knew the caged version of you. But here's the truth. The old you was a survival tactic, a polite hostage. And now you're the escape plan. Now you're the threat. Don't apologize for that. Don't soften your edges to keep their world round and comfortable. Let them bleed on your brilliance if they try to hold you back. Let them feel every ounce of your transformation, not as a favor, but as a warning. You've been quiet long enough. You've tried to be liked, accepted, tolerated. But growth doesn't come from acceptance. It comes from collision with your fears, your lies, your limits. You grow by crashing through who you were, not by tiptoeing away from it. And if they call you selfish for choosing yourself, laugh. Let them choke on their conformity while you feast on freedom. If they say you've become hard, dangerous, unpredictable, good. That means you're no longer a pet. You're finally wild. Let your evolution be so radical it becomes a mirror, one they can't look into without hating their own reflection. Let your transformation unsettle the people still pretending that comfort is purpose. Let it be so loud it drowns out the lies they whisper to themselves at night just to sleep. You don't evolve for applause. You evolve for war. Inner war, outer war. The kind of war where you emerge bloodied, branded, but finally real. So don't evolve quietly. Walk into rooms like a question mark dipped in gasoline. Let your presence be a threat to everything fake. Let your laugh be too loud. Let your eyes carry the weight of rebirth. Let your silence be sharper than their words. Let everything about you say, I've killed who I was, and I'll do it again if I have to. This world doesn't need another watered down version of what's already out there. It needs you, unfiltered, unleashed, unafraid. It needs your madness, your brilliance, your scars, and your shadows, but it needs them loud, unignorable, terrifying. So don't you dare dim now. Don't go quietly into your next version. Let it scream. Let it burn. Let it shake the foundation of everything they thought they knew about you. And when they ask what happened to the old you, smile and say, I buried them under the sound of my becoming. Ah, the past, that old, grinning fool dressed in yesterday's rags, always popping out of the dark with a rusted blade and a cheap trick. It doesn't knock politely. No, it crashes through your mind like a drunk through a glass door, screaming old stories, playing reruns of your worst moments on repeat, over and over, mistakes, regrets, embarrassments, failures, broken promises, missed chances, the greatest hits of your personal tragedy, all starring you. And you just sit there, watching, nodding along like it's a bedtime story. Cute, isn't it? But here's the thing, the past is a liar, a manipulator, a sadistic little performer in smeared makeup and a blood-stained suit. And it's not here to remind you of who you were. No, it's here to trap you there. You think the past wants closure, redemption, growth. Don't be naive. It wants power, control. It wants you stuck in a loop, dancing to the same old tune while it giggles from the corner, holding that knife to your throat. You see, the past doesn't stab you outright. It's clever. It makes you do it. It whispers in your ear when you're about to make a move. Remember the last time you tried. You failed. They laughed. You fell. Don't do it again. It wraps your confidence in chains and dangles keys made of guilt and shame just out of reach. Every time you step forward, it yanks you back like a deranged puppeteer, and worst of all, you let it. You worship it. You keep souvenirs, trophies, journals, conversations like a shrine to pain, like you're in love with your own tormentor. And maybe you are. Maybe there's a twisted comfort in misery you've memorized, the familiar ache, the same scars you trace with your fingers like they're braille, as if they tell a story worth rereading. But ask yourself, how many dreams have you butchered at the altar of nostalgia? How many versions of yourself have you left to rot because you couldn't stop dancing with the ghost of who you were? It's time to stop. It's time to disarm the clown. But disarming the past doesn't mean ignoring it. No, that's cowardice. That's denial wrapped in delusion. We're not sweeping it under the rug. We're dragging it into the light and staring it dead in the eye. You confront the clown. You grab its wrist, twist the knife from its hand, and then, with a grin, you turn it on everything it had ever made you fear. You take your shame and wear it like armor. You take your mistakes and use them as blueprints for evolution. You turn every regret into a lesson, every failure into a spark, every heartbreak into fuel. You weaponize your past, because once you stop letting it haunt you, it starts to serve you. Here's the truth no one tells you. You don't need to be healed before you become powerful. You don't need to be over it to move forward. You just need to be willing to stop letting your story be written by a version of you that no longer exists. You are not your teenage self, not your worst decision, not your weakest moment. You are not the betrayal, not the loss, not the breakdown. You are the one who survived all of it, and yet somehow you keep living like you're still inside the fire, instead of the one who crawled out of it, covered in ash, still breathing. Don't misunderstand. Your past is real. The pain was real. The consequences were real. But their power over you? That's optional. That's the joke. That's the trick. The clown can only control you if you keep handing it the knife. So stop polishing old weapons and start forging new ones. Use your story to slay your future, not sabotage it. Think about it. Lions don't consult their cub years before they roar. Kings don't ask their childhood selves for permission to rule. Why should you? You owe the old you nothing, especially if they're holding you hostage in the name of who you were. So here's the ritual, the purge, the elegant execution. Write a letter to your past, thank it for the hell, and burn it. Yes, burn it. Watch the smoke rise and laugh. Not because it's gone, but because you're free. You finally stopped letting the clown write your script. You're the director now. No more reruns. Let the past try to sneak in. Let it rattle its chains. You'll smile, look it in the eyes, and say, "You had your turn. Now sit down. The show's mine. Disarm the clown. Reclaim the stage. Rewrite the ending. Because if you don't, if you keep living like your best days are behind you, like you're nothing more than a series of bad choices and faded dreams, then you're not just haunted by the past, you're possessed by it. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather laugh like a madman in the fire of my rebirth than weep politely in the shadows of who I used to be. They'll never hand it to you. Not now, not ever. You could beg, cry, or bleed in front of them, and they'll still keep the chains polished and the cage door closed, just enough to keep you thinking you're free. That's the trick, the illusion. They don't lock you in with bars. They do it with bills, opinions, expectations, and the hypnotic hum of routine. A slow, numbing lullaby called normal life. And guess what? You've been dancing to it like a good little puppet, smiling while your spirit decays in silence. But here's the truth they won't advertise. Freedom isn't a reward. It's a rebellion. You want real freedom. You don't ask for it. You take it. You rip it from the hands of comfort, from the grip of people who'd rather see you broken and familiar than whole and unrecognizable. Freedom isn't polite. It's not pretty. It doesn't wear a suit or speak in soft tones. It laughs at authority. It spits in the face of routine. It walks barefoot through glass just to feel alive. And when you take it, really take it, you do it with a smile, not because it's painless.
No.
The smile is there because, for the first time in your life, you're choosing your pain. You're choosing your chaos. You're no longer a slave to their script. You're writing your own, one tear-stained blood, ink page at a time. Look around. They'll tell you freedom is in success, in owning things, in being admired. But those are just leashes made of gold. Do you really think a higher salary buys you freedom? That a fancier cage makes you less of a captive? The old you believed that. The old you stood in line, followed rules, played nice, hoping for applause. The new you. The one who's clawing its way out from beneath the skin. That one doesn't want applause. It wants impact. It wants to crash through the walls of this life like a symphony of fire. And let's be honest, you already know what it feels like to be imprisoned. You've lived it. Waking up to alarm clocks you hate, putting on faces that aren't yours, nodding in conversations that bore your soul to death. That's not living. That's rotting slowly. With manners and a smile, a fake one. But there's another smile, a different one, the kind that shows up when you finally break character, when you say what they don't want to hear, when you take that risk they warned you about, when you walk out, burn the plan, slam the door, and leave nothing behind but the ashes of who you were. That smile, that's freedom grinning through your face. It's wild, it's raw. It's real, and it terrifies people because they know deep down they're not brave enough to wear it. Let them fear it. Let them stare. You weren't born to blend in. You were born to blow the walls off the lie that says, this is just how life is. No, life is what you make it scream to become. And that scream only comes when you stop waiting for permission to live. See, freedom doesn't announce itself politely. It doesn't knock, it kicks the door in. And the ones who embrace it, they don't walk in silence. They come howling, unhinged, fully alive. The world will call you mad for choosing this path. They'll say you've lost it. Good. That's how you know you're close. Because freedom looks like madness to those still shackled by fear. But it's not madness. It's clarity. It's peeling off the mask, snapping the chains, and running headfirst into the unknown with a smile so big it makes the gods nervous. And let me tell you something else. The moment you truly taste that freedom, You'll never go back. You won't want to. You'll look at the old you, the obedient, apologetic, hesitant version of yourself, and you'll grieve for them. Not because they were bad, but because they were afraid. Afraid of who you really are. Afraid of what it would cost to become this. The fire breather, the rule breaker, the author of chaos and clarity. So here's what you do. You stop asking. You stop explaining. You stop waiting. You become the villain in their story, if that's what it takes to become the hero in your own. You smile in the face of rejection. You laugh as the comfort crumbles. You welcome the fire like an old friend. And as the smoke rises, you'll realize this is what rebirth smells like. The system won't like it. People won't understand it. You'll lose some faces, some places, some praise. Good. That's the tax for owning yourself. Pay it with a grin. Because at the end of the day, the most dangerous thing in this world isn't a man with a plan or a woman with a dream. It's the one who smiles through destruction, not because they love the chaos, but because they've finally chosen it over the cage. So, go on. Rip off the mask. Set fire to the blueprint. And carve your name into the silence they tried to bury you in. Freedom isn't given, it's taken. And yes, you'll smile when you take it. Kill the old you before the world does it first. The clock is ticking. Not the one on the wall, no. The one in your head. Every tick a choice. Every talk a chance slipping by. You see, the world isn't waiting for you to become who you're meant to be. It doesn't care. It's not patient. It's a ruthless machine. And you're just another piece in its puzzle. Until you snap, until you rise, or until you're discarded like yesterday's news. That's why I say this clearly, without a stutter and with a grin. Kill the old you before the world does it first. Let me explain. The old you, the polite version, the quiet version, the one that nods when it wants to scream, that hides when it wants to burn. That version is a walking obituary. It was stitched together by expectations, soaked in fear, and kept alive by routine. It's not life, it's slow death, a suffocating ritual of repeating days, smiling through clenched teeth, apologizing for simply existing. You know the one I'm talking about. The version of you that people like because it doesn't challenge them, it doesn't disrupt, it doesn't scare anyone. It blends in, it obeys. But here's the ugly truth: the world doesn't reward obedience. It exploits it. The moment you stop being useful, stop entertaining, stop feeding the system, it tosses you aside. Forgotten, replaced, crushed. The world will kill the old you with layoffs, betrayal, failure, heartbreak, humiliation, all the things it throws like knives at those who never dared to armor themselves in fire. So why not beat it to the punch? Why not destroy the old version of yourself before the system does? Why not become something so chaotic, so untouchable, that even the world stares back at you with trembling hands? That's the secret, isn't it? Not just survival, rebirth, controlled madness, unleashing the version of you that's been locked away in the attic of your soul, gagged and handcuffed by fear. The old you is predictable. And predictable things die first. They're the first to fall when the wind changes, the first to crack when pressure rises, the first to apologize for bleeding when they've been stabbed, but not the new you. No, the new you doesn't beg to be chosen. It chooses itself. It doesn't fear rejection. It walks away first. It doesn't blend in. It burns through. Killing the old you isn't gentle. It's not a peaceful goodbye. It's violent, it's messy, it's beautiful, because it's the moment you stop blaming your past, your parents, your boss, your trauma, and you take the blade of accountability into your own hand. You don't just walk away from who you were, you murder it. You confront it in the mirror, stare into its hollow eyes, and whisper, "Thank you for surviving, but you're no longer needed." And then you strike. You break the habits that kept you chained. You destroy the voices in your head that said, "You can't." You silence the ghost of mediocrity that kept dragging you back. You kill the version of you that settled, that waited for the right time, that begged for validation, that kept secrets buried under shame. Because here's the madness. If you don't do it, the world will. It will humiliate you. It will crush you under the weight of regret. It will remind you every single day that you could have been more. If only you'd had the courage to self-destruct, to start over, to make your past your funeral, not your future. You weren't born to play a role in someone else's script. You were born to rip up the script and set the stage on fire. You were born to be the glitch in the system, the question mark at the end of a sentence that was supposed to define you, the masterpiece born from madness. But none of that begins until the old you dies. So burn the masks, shatter the mirrors, kill the voice that tells you to wait. Wait for what? Permission? Forgiveness? Salvation? Newsflash, no one's coming to save you. And that's the good news. Because the moment you stop waiting, you start becoming. You stop surviving and start living like a ticking bomb made of dreams, rage, and unapologetic truth. And let me be clear, this isn't about ego. This is about evolution. The old you was a cocoon, necessary but temporary. Staying there now is a death sentence. The butterfly doesn't apologize to the shell it left behind. It simply flies while the world watches in awe or burns in envy. So go ahead, light the funeral pyre, lay your old self down gently, then toss the match. And when it burns, when it screams and crumbles and tries to claw its way back, don't flinch, don't mourn, laugh, because that version of you had its chance. Now it's your turn, because in a world that's trying to kill your soul quietly, the loudest rebellion is to kill the old you first and rebuild yourself into something no one saw coming, something unforgettable. If you felt a spark while reading this, don't let it die. Fan the flames. Take a step today that the old you would be terrified of. Speak up. Walk away. Start the project. Burn the excuse. Something. Because if you don't act now, you'll wake up one day buried alive inside a version of yourself that never truly lived. So make the decision. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. Kill the old you. And from the ashes, rise as the version they never saw coming. Hit that subscribe button. Ignite your rebirth and let the world feel your fire.